The Wu Li, the Calendar of Wu. This text was written by Hu Zhong, a follower of Wu who later served under the Jin dynasty. It had at least 6 volumes, none of which survived, but the fragments of information are cited 37 times within the records of the 3 kingdoms. Hu Zhong was the son of Hu Zong, an official writer, poet, and a military general of Wu. Zong was known for being alcoholic throughout his life. Whenever he got drunk, he became noisy, rowdy, and sometimes violent, but he was never reprimanded by Sun Quan because he appreciated his talents. Hu Zhong was also known for his writing skill, but unlike his father, he had a peaceful temperament. His father was 14 when Sun Ce took control of Quaji Commandery, and he passed away around 60 years old in 243. Hu Zhong served as an official, then inherited his father's district marquis title. He rose to the position of prefect of the palace writers in the late 270s under Sun Hao. When Wu collapsed, he served as an imperial secretary for the Jin dynasty before being appointed as the administrator of Wu Commandery. The Wu Li contributes information about many prominent generals and officials of the time, such as Tao Pi, Liu Bei, Guan Yu, Sun Jian, Se, and Chuan. I've chosen a few records from the Wu Li to talk about. The first is from when Liu Bei served under Cao Cao. The second is about Zhang Hong and his thoughts on the world whilst he served under Sun Ce. Another record is from when Sun Ce was critically injured, and the final one involves discussions between Wu and Shu after Zhuge Liang passed away. After Cao Cao agreed to let Liu Bei and Zhu Ling lead an army to block Yuan Shu, Zhu Ling returned to Shu City, but Liu Bei remained in command of the army, which he used to then seize control of Zhu province. The Wu Li says, Duke Tao frequently sent his close friends to spy on his commanders by entertaining them with food and drink. Incidents would often lead to their harm, then on some occasions Tao would find a pretext to kill them. He sent someone to spy through Liu Bei's gate who often closed it, then he went around planting ripe turnips. He said to Guan Yu and Zhang Fei, prepare to close the door and plant turnips. Me, a vegetable grower, Duke Tao must have his doubts, so we cannot remain here any longer. At night time, Liu Bei opened the back gate, then escaped with Zhang Fei and some other light riders. The clothing that he had been given by Cao Cao was wrapped up and left behind. He then headed for Xiaopei to assemble his troops, whilst Guan Yu was left in charge of the province's capital, Xiaopei. When Zhang Hong's mother died, Sun Ce came to him and consulted with the affairs of the world. He brought up Sun Jian's death, how the world is in turmoil, so the heroes all support their own interests and that there's no one who can help the crisis. Sun Ce admitted that he only had a little ambition and that his policy was dark and childish. He wanted to ask Yuan for his father's old troops back, at the time when he took his uncle's family and dispersed them to occupy Wu in the east. He said that the court is outside of the vassal, and then asked Zhang Hong why he thought it was like this. The Wu Li says, Zhang Hong saw Ce was loyal and powerful, and his words were generous. He was touched by his ambition. In the past, the Taoism of the Zhou dynasty was late, and the Shi and Jin prospered together. The royal family had been peaceful, and the princes all paid tribute to their posts. Today, the warlords and the former princes have the reputations of being warriors. If you move to Danyang and withdraw from Wu, then Jing and Yang can be united, and the enemy can be defeated. We will fight for power and virtue, punish the filth, and make achievements by assisting the Han dynasty. There are so many troubles in today's world. If success is found, we should join hands with our fellow friends. The Wu Li says, Cao Cao heard that a plan to pacify the south of the Yangtze River would be very challenging. He often called it difficult to fight for the front. Regarding Sun Ce's fatal injury, the Wu Li says, since the medicine has been applied, it can be cured if you heed the doctor's words. You should take care of yourself and don't move for 100 days. Ce looked at himself in the mirror and asked as he moved his head left and right, if the face is like this, can you still make contributions? He either stood up or sat up so quickly that the wounds were split back open and he died overnight. Following Zhuge Liang's death in 234, Wu sent an additional 10,000 troops to garrison at Baidi fortress for 2 purposes, to reinforce Shu in the event of a Wei invasion, and secondly, to seize Shu's territories if they cannot defend itself from Wei. When Shu learned of the increased Wu military presence, they immediately strengthened their defences at Yong'an in preparation. Zong Yu was second only to Deng Ji and Fei Yi in terms of how highly Sun Quan favoured and regarded him. He went on emissary missions for Shu to meet with Wu, where he was asked about the increased military activity by Sun Quan. His bold and candid reply made Chuan laugh, which earned his respect. I think it's normal for the West to strengthen its defences at Baidicheng, just as it's normal for the East to send more troops. Before leaving, Sun Quan said, "Shu is remote and small. Although it's a neighbouring country, the East and West depend on each other. Wu cannot live without Shu, and Shu cannot live without Wu. Monarchs and ministers rely on them, but your Majesty is deeply concerned, for I am old and sick. I am afraid that we will not be able to see each other again." Song Yu also described himself as old and sickly, and expressed the same worries before he left. A Sun clan member spoke up. The protection of the Emperor is righteous, and righteousness has been established. Although small, a deceitful force can be big. Although strong, it will still be defeated. What's more, living in a humble city, relying on the solidity of mountains and rivers, and wanting to connect thousands of miles, will you depend on this forever? In the past, the 9 provinces were united and followed that strategy. Even with the strength of the 9 kingdoms and the greatness of Long and Han, there's just no way to save each other. Just sit and watch the slaughter. The foundation of morality is not solid. Who has the strong and weak hearts is difficult to distinguish. Plus, the saying Wu cannot live without Shu and Shu cannot live without Wu is not flattering. Writings from the Wu Li were cited within the records of the 3 kingdoms, which is one part of the 24 histories canon. The records of the Grand Historian, the Book of Han, and the Book of the Later Han are the first 3 dynastic histories. Sima Qian was the author of the first record. The pattern of his work was so unique, it served as a model for the standard of recording for the next 2,000 years. The 4th dynastic history of China is the records of the 3 kingdoms, written by Chen Shou in the year 280. The 65 volumes of the Sanguo was thought to be too brief later on by Emperor Wen, so he tasked Pei Songzhi to make annotations to the text. The annotations were completed in the year 429 under the title Sanguo Zhu, Zhu meaning notes. His completed work went on about providing detailed explanations to some of the geography and other elements mentioned in the original. He collected various sources, including those previously rejected by Chen Shou, but more importantly, he made corrections to the work. Although he was able to create a history that was relatively complete, some of the added material was colourful and questioned authenticity. In the end, the book became close to double the original size, but was praised by Emperor Wen as immortal. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.